There is no way to overemphasize the centrality of faithfulness in God's character. It is woven into every part of the Bible, from Genesis, where God initiates his promise of faithfulness, through Revelation, where John's vision depicts a white horse whose rider is called faithful and true. Great is God's faithfulness. Even when we are faithless, God remains faithful, for he cannot disown himself. God's covenantal faithfulness, embodied in our partner, makes a home for our restless hearts. It accepts our whole soul by saying, I believe in you and commit myself to you through thick and thin. Without faithfulness and the trust it engenders, marriage would have no hope of enduring in quote. For no couple can achieve deep confidence in the fidelity of themselves and each other until they first recognize God's faithfulness to them. And that is the reason why it is a popular saying that you cannot do marriage without God. And that is why they always emphasize the fact that do not marry a man or a woman that is not God-fearing, because you cannot do marriage without love. Because you cannot marry someone that today, just because your spouse is not acting right, then you too, you say, because you're not acting right, me too, I will not act right. And then it reminds me of all the time that so many times we might not be faithful, like this reading just said, but it doesn't change the fact that God is going to not be faithful. So even if your partner might not be faithful, your partner is acting in a certain way that is not supposed to be, it doesn't mean that it should affect your own commitment or faithfulness. So God is our model. Marriage reveals God's forgiveness. While we were living in Los Angeles, a friend invited us to tour the Hollywood film studio where she worked. We rode across the lot on a handy golf cart and quietly ducked into sound stages to catch behind-the-scenes glimpse of familiar faces. One of the highlights was watching the filming of an episode of the hit TV show 30-something. Our friend, observing our interest in this particular show, later sent us an autographed script. It featured Nancy and Elliot, a struggling married couple, in a brutal counseling session. Finally, Elliot says, I don't know if I love Nancy anymore, and no matter what she does, I can't seem to forgive her for that. Forgiveness lies at the heart of marriage. Two people living together day after day, stumbling over each other's beings, are bound to cause pain, sometimes innocently, sometimes not. And if forgiveness is not given to cleanse the marriage's soul, condemnation hovers over the relationship. Resentment piles on top of resentment until we blame our partner not just for their wrongdoing, but also for our failure to forgive them. This is a red light danger zone. Human forgiveness was never designed to be given on a grand scale. Forgiveness in marriage can only heal when the focus is on what our spouses do, not on who they are. Okay? Partners forgive best for specific acts. Trying to forgive Casablanca is silly. Nobody can do it but God. We overload the circuit of forgiveness when we try to forgive our partner for not being the sort of partner we want him or her to be. There are other means of coping with this. And in quotes, and in colon, courage, empathy, patience, hope. But for mere human beings, forgiveness in a grand manner must be left to God. Forgiveness in a grand manner must be left to God. For it is God's forgiveness that empowers our ability to forgive. For it is God's forgiveness that empowers our ability to forgive the relatively small things. No minor miracle in itself. Every couple needs to forgive. I, Leslie, had a hard time accepting that. Why would I ever need to forgive Les, the man who had pledged his love to me unto death? Somehow, I thought that if forgiveness was necessary, our relationship was failing. I was too proud to admit that Les could hurt me, but at times he did. And of course, I hurt him. In fact, I have learned that most of the time, forgiveness in marriage is usually not about an innocent lamb and a bad wolf. Most of the time, I have to do my forgiving while being forgiven by God, if not by my husband. Loving your partner as yourself is probably the single most wholeheartedly step you will ever take to fulfill the love of God. Such a step, of course, could never even be contemplated without the enabling grace of God. While many marriages are undertaken and even manage to last without a conscious reliance on God's help, there are no meaningful partnerships without the continuing secret touch of God's grace on the soul of their marriage. Tending the soul of your marriage. Superficiality is the cause of a restless marriage. The desperate need of most marriages is not for more excitement, more glitz, more activity. The soul of your marriage yearns for depth. At least 3 classic disciplines of the spiritual life cause soulmates to move beyond surface living and into the depths. Worship, service, and prayer in the midst of our normal daily activities. These disciplines have a transforming power to quiet the spirit and nurture a marriage. By the way, these disciplines are not for spiritual giants, nor are they some doggery designed to extinguish all the fun in your life. The only requirement to practice these disciplines is a longing for God to fill your marriage. And there is a quote here by Celtic saying, and it says, "Anyone without a soul friend is like a body without a head."